I was 14 years old. Given that I was very young and I didn't have a very broad understanding of what a mental illness or a mental disorder was, of course, I was confused at my diagnosis. How could it be that at such a young age uh, could I be, or could anyone, for that matter, be diagnosed with something such as depression? What could I possibly be depressed about? Um, After my first and only suicide attempt back in 1994, I was 14 years old and I tried to overdose on some pills, basically some medication that had been given to me. I believe that shortly after that, because I was so scared and I didn't know how to accept and I was going to live with this diagnosis, I thought that was the easiest way out. Little did I know that there were many people battling something similar as I. Uh, and, living this battle in silence, battling this in silence. So I think that as years have gone by, it has gotten a little bit, maybe just a little bit easier because I don't feel as alone anymore. I've attended support groups. I know a lot of people like myself, that have either been diagnosed with depression or anxiety disorders, PTSD, um, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia. And so, really, to say that one diagnosis is easier than the other would definitely not be fair because they're all very difficult diagnoses to live with, especially, when you know nothing about these illnesses. And so, I made the decision, shortly after, during that year, that I was actually going to try and make a difference somehow in people's lives. Um, I decided that I was going to study either social work or psychology to make an impact in young people's lives, like myself, going through the same thing or something similar, battling with a mental illness or some type of emotional disorder or anything like that, mood disorder. Of course, life didn't work out that way for me, but nonetheless, I am here now, sharing my story with you and just letting you know that you are not alone, that you are not the only one, that there's many of us going through something similar, that we have our own battles. Sometimes invisible illnesses are actually the ones that cannot be understood and the ones that people do not seem to want to talk about. There's so much of a stigma in it all, just talking about mental health and mental illnesses and suicide prevention. So I just want to let you know that you are not alone, that you can always reach out to someone, and that there are always people that you know nothing about. You may not know their story, but they may be going through something horrible. Or maybe they've already been through that attempt. They've already attempted suicide, like myself. It's not something that you talk about openly simply because it could be embarrassing, it could be uncomfortable, it could be that so many people wouldn't understand and they could judge you. But you come to a certain point in your life where all you want to do is get better. And I know that these videos have helped me day by day to get better by sharing my story with you and by allowing other people to know that they are not alone. That in itself has helped me tremendously, both emotionally and psychologically. And so I asked you to join this project Semicolon with me and to be a part of this group so that we can grow awareness about mental health and mental illnesses and suicide prevention all in itself. Many of us could be not just battling a mental illness, but just maybe a chronic illness that is invisible to many others that people don't know about. That's also very common. And so I just say to you today, you are not alone. Reach out. Please reach out. And don't give up. Your story isn't over. Choose that. Choose to say, my story isn't over, because your story is worth it. Your life is worth it. You are worth it. And so now I say to you, join me in what we call this project Semicolon, so that we may let the whole world know that we can no longer suffer in silence, and that we will no longer suffer in silence, and that we will do our best, to get better day by day. And yes, it's a daily battle with yourself, with your emotions, and with your thoughts, which is very difficult. But nonetheless, it's a battle, and it's definitely worth fighting for. So I ask you, to join this project Semicolon with me. And stay tuned for more videos. There are also going to be videos in Spanish. And hopefully you'll get to know more and more of my story. And if need be, you can always inbox me with any of your questions. You might know someone battling depression or anxiety or bipolar, schizophrenia, PTSD, whatever it may be. Feel free to reach out to me. I am not a professional, but I am, someone that will not judge, simply because I've gone through this struggle myself. So thank you once again for allowing me to be heard and to share my story with you. Many blessings and much love to you guys.